Going back to the first time some caveman refused to share his cozy fire and haul of fresh berries with his chilly, hungry neighbor, people have wondered what makes some of us kind and generous or others, well, jerks. Some have blamed nature, the "she was just born bad" angle, while others say it's nurture, the "his parents raised him right" wrong view. Now, new research into possible links between genetics and what psychologists call prosocial behavior, basically, selfless acts that benefit others, gives new heft to the nature camp. As described in a study published in the journal Psychological Science, the first part of the explanation for a genetic basis of selflessness has to do with two hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin. Previous laboratory studies have found that oxytocin and vasopressin positively influence generosity, empathy, and sociability. Oxytocin, the more famous of the two, is often referred to as the love hormone. Both hormones have also been found to make people feel less threatened. Assessing attitudes about civic and social duty. Taking all this research about oxytocin and vasopressin into account, led study author Michael Pollan, Ph.D., an assistant professor of psychology at the State University of New York at Buffalo, and two fellow researchers wished to test what effect the hormones had on various prosocial behaviors outside the laboratory, such as giving blood, reporting a crime, paying taxes, and working for charity. The team began by administering surveys to 2,792 subjects to assess how generally threatened the subjects felt. The survey asked people to rate how strongly they agreed or disagreed with statements like "there is more good in the world than bad," and "human nature is basically good." They also gave a subset of the survey takers a second questionnaire, which assessed their feelings about various civic duties and charitable activities. Finally, researchers asked for DNA samples from 1,296 of the survey subjects, and 711 agreed to submit a saliva sample in a DNA collection kit. This final piece was key, because the DNA sample allowed researchers to determine whether subjects had versions of oxytocin and vasopressin receptor genes previously associated with being more kind and empathetic. Genes and perceptions intertwined. What all the testing showed was that even among people whose survey responses indicated they found the world threatening, those who had the nicer version of the receptor gene variants were more inclined to help others than people who had the non-nice gene variants. Or, as Pollan explains it in a SUNY Buffalo News release about his team's findings, the nicer gene variants allow you to overcome feelings of the world being threatening and help others in spite of those fears. Now, to be clear, Pollan and his team aren't saying these gene variants alone determine who's nasty and who's nice. Their study shows that genetics only makes a contribution in the presence of certain feelings people have about the world around them, Pollan explains in the release. Still, even if this latest research hasn't identified a niceness gene that determines which people will hold the elevator for you when you're in a rush and which ones will manically push the door close button, it may help you be less quick to judge others knowing their genes are partly to blame for how they treat you.